Hello and welcome to Real People, Real Business. My name is Izu Nwachukwu and I'm the host of the podcast. On our podcast, we invite entrepreneurs to come and tell us their life story about how they started their businesses, their challenges, their failures, and how they became successful. We also invite experts to come in and tell us how their businesses or services can help entrepreneurs and businesses that are trying to start up. On today's show, I have an amazing young lady with me. She is the CEO of POP Business Consultancy, and she's also a government official for DET. Her expertise is business coaching, strategy, and leadership and mentorship. She's also worked across the UAE. Shaikha Al-Matua, welcome to Real People, Real Business.
Thank you, Izu, and I'm really honored to be with you in this show and giving me the time and the space also to share whatever we need to be shared today.
Fantastic. So Shaikha, you have your own business consultancy, which is, I love the name. It's Power of People, which is shortened as POP. But you're also a government official with DET. So tell me about your career journey that has led up to you being a government employee.
Yeah, so basically I started my years of experience in DET now over 17 years. I was very fascinating about hospitality and serving industry back that time. So I worked with the training and development, meeting people, individuals who are seeking to receive certain certification in tourism and tour guide certification. But then also I found it was very easy for me to experience different fields. So I tapped into the events also department where I organize more than 200 events in city of Dubai. That diversity gave me a bigger wake-up call, like there are so much to learn, there are so many people who I can meet, and I also can learn and I also can teach, because I come also from a background of education and learnings, and there's a long story about that which I will share in a couple of questions that you will share.
Sure. So what I'm hearing is you're a very powerful woman in Dubai that helps the hotel industry as well as the tourism industry. And you've been doing a great job, I must say, because Dubai is now a very well-known destination and branding. So let's go on to your story. So you started your own consultancy, POP, as a mentor and a coach. Why did you choose to become a business coach and a mentor?
It is the essence of, I like to see people happy and I like to see the impact of my reaction on others. So the value of contribution and the value of putting something out of myself, it gives me great honor and happiness within. So in earlier 2021, when I decided, of course, I was going through many school of thoughts. I met a lot of coachee and also masters who fly to Dubai, because Dubai is a city of entrepreneurs and personal growth masters. So when I basically started to enroll in those training, NLP and different type of modality, I found out that this is the framework that would allow me to contribute much more into self and others. One of also key attribute is that I'm also graduate from Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid for leadership program.
Fantastic.
Under young leaders.
Fantastic.
Yes, being in his program, being shaped with the thoughts and the strategic phenomenal a move that he basically puts those graduates, it's phenomenal. People who graduate from this program, they become a business owner, or they become a different type of I would say different phenomenalists or some other. So for me it was more into coaching, because I felt like there are so much need, and also there are so much potential that I found through the journey.
Okay, so you first of all developed yourself by going on these training courses and learning from these training courses, and that's grown you as an individual, is kind of what I understand.
Yes.
And then you've decided that you need to give back and help other people within the business space. and that's your vehicle for doing that is through coaching.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Now, when it comes to the world of coaching, there's a lot of business coaches around. There's a lot of mentors around. There are people over social media channels that kind of tell us how we should do things and how we should live and stuff like that. What sets your kind of coaching apart? What sets your mentorship apart? What's your philosophy?
I think the philosophy comes from humans in themselves, because we are coaching and we are facilitating among different groups or one-to-one sessions. So if you look at human, there is a needs of human basic needs.
Yes.
There's the Maslow
hierarchy.
And then there is also the 6 needs of every human, which basically needs to be met. And we all share the same commonality as equality.
Yeah.
So the 6 needs are the needs for feeling certain, safe, secure, and also the needs of feeling, having experiences that have variety, the uncertainty. And then 3 is the love and connection. People tend to fulfill this need through different activities, bonding with family, friends, spouse, and so on.
Yeah.
And then 4th is the significant, the needs for feeling special, to be here, to be listened, to be recognized and rewarded.
Yes.
5 is the contribution. It's one of the key value that's connected to the soul level. The moment you contribute, something shifts in your consciousness.
Right. Okay.
And number 6 is the growth.
Okay.
And where person who follow the growth journey, his brain and his life will never be the same again, the starting point.
Yeah.
So imagine, Enzo, with this need, we have 4 level of consciousness. And that levels is basically allow the people function and behave in a different ways.
Okay.
Imagine in workplace, you have different nationalities, different people, different hierarchy. And through this 4 level of consciousness, which I was about to explain, it creates so much harmonious understanding if each and everyone understand that.
Yes.
And also it creates a lot of divisive or misunderstanding culture.
Right.
So let me just give you a recipe of what is 4.
Absolutely.
We all function under this, Izo. No one goes out of it.
Okay.
The first one is living under the culture zone. A person who embraces this kind of mindset and mentality, he always go through the rules and regulation. This is right, this is wrong. Oh, this is what is the legacy is about. This is what the wisdom. So there is certain conditions that he needs to follow in order for him to fulfill the 6 needs.
Okay.
A bit of that, a person who decide, I want to awake something within my desire. I have this project of opening my own coffee shop, and this coffee shop have to have the world-class bins or coffee bins from all over the world. So he will step in and he will start to awakening different type of thinking ways out of the box, where he will start to work and bring so many different recipes and people. So this individual not necessarily will fill fully the culture zone. He will have his own awakening inside.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
And that person will definitely think, feel, and react different than those who are in the level 1.
Yes, yeah.
All are right, but they are operating from different zones.
Yes.
And then number 3 is mastering yourself, mastering your thoughts and your status.
Yes.
And that's what makes the people phenomenal fast. They accelerate their goals less than a year. Some people takes 3-4 years.
Yes.
For maybe in level 1, they take 6 months, 8 months, because they know what they want. They master their state and their thinking, and they always take accountability and responsibility for all circumstances that happen in their life.
Absolutely. So this is really important because I want to touch on this, and you said something very powerful, which this affects all of us, right? And I certainly can see it through my own life journey as well. So the first part that you described was the cultural part. I know when we spoke earlier, you described it as the tribe, right? We belong to a certain tribe, and this builds certain cultures, certain traditions, certain do's and don'ts with us, and we follow that tribe. So it could be something as simple as growing up in a certain family, right? In that setting. And this is, this, for example, in a family, education might be important. So going to school will be seen as what is important in that family. And if you don't do it, you're falling short of the tribe, right?
Yeah.
And then, we tend to follow, even in employment, we go into companies and the company has a company culture and we all follow it. We dress a certain way, we act a certain way, we speak a certain way,
Yes.
we operate a certain way in work. And it's that awakening, the next level where we wake up, or we start to awaken to our possibilities outside of the tribe, outside of the culture. What is it that we can do that is unique to us? So, if education was a big thing, or you work in this company as a CEO or a janitor or whatever it might be, okay, what can I be outside of my work? What can I be outside of my family? And that's when I think you start to find your purpose.
Yes.
Right? And it's okay, what more can I do in the world than
Yes.
just what my culture has shaped me to be? And I have gone through that.
Okay.
Where I've come to a point and said, okay, is it just going to be a career for me? Is it just going to be climbing up the career ladder? Which is a tricky thing. People think their career ladder goes this way, but it actually goes that way, back forth. So, it changes. And at a certain time, it's like, okay, what else is outside of a career for me? And what else can I do to maybe help myself as well as other people? How
Yes.
can I build a purpose out of this? And I did, which is to try and encourage as many people to find financial freedom through entrepreneurship, through their careers, whatever it might be. And so I feel that second level is the awakening to a purpose, something that will drive you. And then the third level, which you said is mastering yourself. I think, personally speaking, I am getting into that level, and I feel it's the most challenging of all the levels. The awakening excites you.
Yes.
But I think once you go into mastering yourself, you start to understand you have to master your failures, you have to master your fears, you have to master your success, you have to almost change. I come from a background where I say I'm self-diagnosed as an introvert. But when I found my purpose, I realized you cannot sit quietly. You have to go out and mingle with people. You have to talk to people. You have to engage. You have to sell yourself, right?
Yes.
If you want to push your purpose, if you want to inspire people to start
Yes.
businesses. So I have to start mastering my fears, as well as my failures, looking at my strengths and learning new skills. I think that level is also where you see some growth as an individual.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, especially when tapping into the purpose. People ask question, what is my purpose? I hear it in most of my coaching session. And this is where I reverse the question. It's not about what is your purpose, what brought you here today.
Right.
Because most of the people, sometimes they express their purpose, but the deeper purpose is there. And those small messages or small action that they're taking in order to achieve certain success or certain significant rewards to feel I'm good enough, I'm successful enough, would lead them to the bigger aspect.
Yeah.
So when you look at, definitely, I mean, when you look at a personality, when we are in our work, on a corporate world, whereas basically we have our own businesses, we operate in a different mindset somehow,
Yes.
because the level of engagement, the level of input is diverse from a role that we're playing, and what is the contribution that we need to put in order to see the results that we aim for. Failure is a key feedback. If someone has, I always say that there is classic failure formula. People say, I'm afraid from rejection. I'm afraid of authority figure. I'm afraid from the unknown. But now the modern world have came up with a new kind of fear. I just wanted to tap it here.
Yeah.
So someone would say, I'm afraid of my own power and the expansion on during the execution. Because some people like during the going out of the comfort zone, tapping, trying new things, they will find out a new set of feeling, new set of setup skill, which they never even encountered back in their old versions.
Yes.
So how do I anchor that new discovered skill set? It become as a sustainable behavior and as a lifestyle, not as just one time shot and then the person go to the comfort zone.
Yes.
People love comfort zone, and we are all part of that system.
Yes.
But intentional, inspired action, putting ourselves in the direction of where we want to go, and instead of what we are trying to avoid, will create massive change, reduce the pain, and create more pleasure.
Yeah. No, I love what you said about when you start to develop the fear of your own power. Like I've never thought about it that way, but it's ringing a bell with me, because it's kind of like sometimes we are afraid to even try something because of sometimes because of failure, but because of, okay, how is this going to change me? How is this going to make me a different person?
Yes.
And it's that fear of the known. But
what I will be losing out of this.
Yes.
And what kind of conflict. So this conflict will create different feeling and mixed feeling, associating growth, associating freedom and abundance, even beautiful things that we are experiencing to something else.
Shaikha, I want to ask you, as a business person, when you get to that point where you have this conflict of this fear of your own power, like this growth, what you can lose and what you can gain, and you have this friction in yourself, how does that affect us negatively as a business person or as a career person? It sounds to me like we get into the comfort zone, we're comfortable with it. But how does this conflict, how does not addressing this conflict, should I say, impact us negatively? Why should we address it?
Why we should address it? Because we are witnessing our growth by our actions. We are human beings. We meant here to co-create and to elevate and to grow together as a one team, right? And people are different despite the team's background and their skill set. We are all uniques. So when a person holds that kind of conflict, immediately the brain will send signals for a defense mechanism, something going out of norm. This is not something we know as a habitual thing.
Yes.
This is takes me, and the most fear would come to the person is the most fear that he's resisting to approach in his life.
Right.
So, I'm not gonna go for this overseas deal. I might be in loan, I might be in so.
Yeah.
The brain will create story to keep the person in the safe zone.
Yes. I mean, I even in my own career path as well. So I will see certain jobs, and being just as an example, and being advertised, and they're quite senior roles, and there might be one skill set there which I'm like, okay, I know probably 20 or 30% of it, and I feel, okay, I'm not going to go for that role. This is what they call imposter syndrome, right? Because it's kind of like, rather than open your eyes and say, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to learn on the job, I already have enough to start. You kind of think, well, yeah, like I'm comfortable. I'm not gonna risk what I currently have to go to this higher level. So that's interesting how unconsciously this can set us back in business and entrepreneurship and even our career. I see it in career a lot.
Yes.
I want to touch on another subject because this is important to me as a person, and I feel like this is the question of finding your purpose, right? Because I feel like everyone needs one, like whether it's business-wise, family-wise, whether you want to start a family, you want to be a stay-at-home dad or a housewife. I feel everybody needs this as something to drive you, right? When your clients come to you and they're not quite sure what their purpose is and they're a bit lost in their business, or because sometimes for us purpose is to make the money, and and that's not a purpose to make money. It's a side effect of a purpose to some extent, right? Yes. How do you get them to find their purpose? How do you guide them to a point where they find I know it's got to be their journey, but how do you guide them?
This is very good question, because I coach women, and also I coach youth who basically have different kind of topics when we speak out. So you remember the 4 level of consciousness?
Yeah.
So this is the roadmap first when I start to have the conversation, because each person perceive reality from different perspective, right? A person coming from culture zone. It's beautiful. He's already, or she's already coming from a culture that have already so many inspired stories, so many legacies, so many also rules and success story. There are some people who came before us who made it happen. So it's easy to say and ask the question, what brought you today here? What you feel? What one thing, and if you don't know what one thing that would tap to your purpose, pretend that you know what is your purpose. Pretend.
Right.
Because I told you, the brain will block you from discovering beyond your comfort zone.
Right.
We need to train the
Yeah.
unconscious mind
Yeah.
to take further step. The unknown should be known.
Okay, so so it sounds to me like you get them to challenge themselves to
A
see
bit of conversation.
Yes, why are you here? You
Why
know,
you
and then
here?
she's-
How can, why you are here, and how can we use this time to empower you and allow you to see things that you want in a better way? And we start to write things, and our sessions goes fast. In 1 hour,
Yeah.
sometimes 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think for me, listen, it took me maybe 3 or 4 years to find my purpose, right? To find what I wanted to do, and it's past experiences and stuff. And I remember, it's a funny story here. I remember being on the beach in Zanzibar, and it sounds like I was on a lovely holiday. I was, but I was
Yes.
6 a.m. on the beach in the water, and it hit me that it's about freedom. For me, it's about freedom. It's about financial freedom. It's about being able to experience as much of life as you want and help others to do that. So
Yes.
but it took me so many issues,
Exactly.
challenges, fears
Yes,
to
yes.
kind of get to that point. And it was like a kind of an awakening at that point for me
Yes.
to wake up and say, okay, there's much more that you can do than just earn a salary or start a business.
I agree.
And so it's guided me to being here speaking with you. It's guided me to writing about this and publishing it. It's guided me to speaking in certain things. And that's why I'm a big advocate for people finding their purpose. It will guide
Yes.
you. Okay. I
No,
just had
because
to-
I like one word you said. You
Sure.
were introvert, and you put yourself
Yes.
every day out of that
Yeah.
in order for you to see what is that matching with the
Yes.
feeling and the values that you
Yeah.
embraced.
And I think that, and
Yeah.
I actually said self-diagnosed introvert.
Yes.
And why reason I say self-diagnosed introvert is because I don't necessarily think we are born introvert or extrovert.
Exactly.
I think it's, you certain things may happen to you as a child and you react to it and you go in and you close yourself off, or you react and be more
True.
open. And as you develop that introvert skill, like you would develop any other skill, you become more and more of it, right? And
True.
all the symptoms come with it. I hate going to business networking events and having light conversation rather than philosophical or kind of business-driven conversations. It drains me. But I have to do it because my purpose demands that, okay, you need to go into these places and talk to people and find out what they need and how you can help them. So this is my perspective on it. I think if you're an extrovert or an introvert, it's a skill that you've developed.
Yes.
A defense mechanism or way
Yes.
of seeing the world, it's entirely up to you.
Yes.
Okay, so just going on to my next question here. I wanted to know kind of who's the ideal person that should come to you for coaching. Why is it important for business people or business leaders or leaders of organizations to have business coaching and mentorship?
Because it's since this business unit has been established, and there are different individuals that engage with the growth of this unity, a mentorship and coachingship is important, because if the person had set a goals for this company to grow in a certain level in a certain timeline with a certain result, you need someone who can look at 360 and see how is the performance going through this company, because we know 50%, there is a research I was reading today, 50% of company fails after 3 years of the operating.
Yep.
So we know that if a company have an accountant to check on the finance and to see how does the numbers goes, also from operational level, and also tapping into the most advanced technology that particular industry going through. Some company stay traditional due to the different type of strategic that's set in the company. So I think a company is a like an individual. It's like a human. It needs the necessity to be fed with the right, strategy and action, and also to uplift the spirit of a company. Let's give me an example. Like if there isn't a CEO and there is one employee, hard worker, everything, and he left this company, there might be two type of, or maybe three type of reaction. One is that the CEO will start to search for a suitable person, and all the project or certain operation will be parked until they find the suitable person. Whereas also there is some other aspect where the person would think, no, let's create a new phenomenon of distributing the task and move forward in order for us to made that required person to join this company. This has happened on a daily basis in operational level in a very simple thing. It's not being picked up, could be sometime by the CEO level. This is one issue. Other issue, there are so many things. So a coach or a mentor could be a person who already been there or seen it, and he have some success recipe because he been there. Or this person can also decide to hang up with the peers who already have seen and worked in certain elements in order for them to flourish their businesses and grow. Because we are product of our influences, not just our experience, our influences, who we sit with, who we spend time with, who advices we are taking from in order for us to drive our businesses.
No, I totally agree. I feel like, you know, what I'm getting out of that is that, you know, business leaders, entrepreneurs need coaching and mentorship because it helps you think outside your box, right? It doesn't box you in. You don't really stay in your comfort zone. It helps, kind of gives you a 360 of, okay, there's another way of approaching things. There's another way of dealing with challenges or issues. Like you mentioned, if someone leaves, how do you address it? So that kind of takes you out of whatever box you've sort of assigned yourself to. And I totally agree with that. You know, as I've learned as an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily stick by the rules that you that you started out with. You have to adapt. You know, you have to move around. You have to find a way around it. You have to keep your eyes and your ears open.
I closed my company twice, and then the third time I decided to have it online.
Okay.
Tapped with AI. The reason why, because I knew the power of AI now, and AI
is a big topic.
A big topic. We will have it in other sessions, but it's something really phenomenal. When you are there, you've seen it, you've tried your best across every tools that you had. Then you decide also to be innovative.
Yes.
In approaching
innovation. Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, you know, if you can give us like a success story of someone who you've worked with and you were able, you know, we don't need to call names or anything. I remember when we first talked, you spoke about, I think it was a father and a husband who you mentored and coached, and you were able to turn things around for him. I'd love to hear, you know, for us to hear a little bit more about that.
Very interesting. Actually, when I started my coaching, I started to give the sessions for like a comp base. I didn't even charge. So it was like a very casual gathering. And I was doing some session for a group of individuals from different, corporate industry. And then this gentleman approached me and he said to me, with all respect to his story, he had challenge in the job. He doesn't like his job, and he tried his best to engage. You know, he feels like he's not being understood. Cannot speak his truth. At the same time, his marriage also going to different diversity. I mean, it's a separation with the children, and he have this kind of fear of instability and financial risk of losing the job, because also he's doing his best, but he cannot perform. And I think most of that we tackled during the session. But then when I started to work with him and to identify what is the key human needs, and then we started to see what is the root cause, goes deep dive. What makes a person passionate? Wake up every morning. Intentional programming a day. It's not enough. If someone will say, okay, I will be happy today, I will wake up with full charge, I'll go to the work, that's not enough. We have to deal with the real life scenarios. So we go through many breakthrough exercise. We articulate the passion. So this gentleman, his top value is growth and variety.
Right.
Growth and variety, he likes to learn, grow, read books, go through. Variety, he likes to work on different projects.
Yes.
Right? Whereas in his current job, he's doing repetitive operational job.
Yeah.
So that's killing every single cell and spirit in his being.
In his body, yeah. Yeah, and I've been there. Okay.
So we worked on that, and we knew that the projection of that energy or of that thinking reflected in his home.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with his home. It's just that people carry their values and autopilot in the work, home, everywhere.
Yeah.
So we worked on that. I still remember his call with tears. I haven't seen him face to face. It was a call.
Yeah.
Shaikha, thank you. You saved my marriage. You saved me.
Yeah.
He moved to a new job.
Yes.
A position in the same company, and he's doing very well.
Yes, yeah.
That kind of inspiration, it's feed my soul.
Yeah, fantastic.
Because that's part of who we are.
Yeah. And there's so many of us that go through this and are not able to identify what the issue is. Like you said, he wanted variety, he wanted to grow, which we all do.
Yes.
And then some of us are comfortable just doing the same thing over and over
That's
again.
fine.
And it's crazy how this seeps into our personal life, because he will come back home and maybe a bit despondent, maybe a bit upset, maybe not feeling his life is full, and then that rubs up on his wife and his children, and then you start to have this spiral effect where, like you said, his marriage started to go down the drain. And some of the things I've covered in my book is like, find something either within work or outside of work that gives you fulfillment.
Yes.
That feeds into that passion. Because if your 9 to 5 isn't doing it for you, then find something outside that can give you that joy and fulfillment, and that potentially leads to a purpose.
Agree.
Fantastic. So, Shaikha, what does the future hold for you? What's your 10 to 20 year plan? I encourage a lot of people to think in 10 to 20 years or even more, because some people think about...
You are Dubaian.
Because people tend to think, okay, I'm going to make it in 2 years, 5 years, 4 years. And, some of the people I've coached, this comes across like, oh, my business needs to be successful, like you said, in 3 years. And I find that they put so much pressure on themselves to do it, and that when it doesn't work, it's like if they feel like it's a failure rather than a process. So I talk in 10 to 20 years or more. So what's your 10 to 20 year plan?
Okay, I still will be remaining young by having longevity technologies on all aspects.
AI will keep us young.
Yes, all of us. I think for me, because I really tend to, contribute to others, helping less fortunate communities revive through education, which I'm also doing in a small scale.
Yes.
I think I will carry on that.
Okay.
Second thing, I have really dreamed to establish a school of thought for NLP, suiting Dubai spirit.
Okay, so how does that work? Yeah,
we are a beautiful city, and now we are a global city,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
In 50 years, the city has been transformed to a beautiful paradise,
yes,
where it is a home for most of entrepreneurs, science, musicians, artists. They have home in Dubai.
Yes.
The spirit came from the leadership.
Yes.
And we have phenomenal books. If you look at the books of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum,
yes,
God bless him, he's talking and he actually reshaped one of the many, quotes that's been said. They say the sky is limit, and he says, the sky is just the beginning.
The beginning.
And he acts through the whole space project that we've been to the moon.
Yeah.
So I think translating those science, translating those techniques of how do you manifest, how do you articulate your vision into a day-to-day practice, something into that, putting it into NLP. I'm an NLP also trainer.
Yeah.
Bringing that into manual and teaching, and have a school of thoughts here in Dubai with the Dubai spirit. This is something I'm thinking about.
Okay, fantastic. I would
with Arabic coffee a bit.
Yeah, I like coffee, so I would definitely love to be a part of this when you get it up and running. Please keep me informed.
Sure.
So Shaikha, we're coming towards the end of the session, or the interview, should I say? And this section is what we call Share Your Wisdom. So I have 3 questions for you, and it's around you sharing your wisdom to our listeners. So the first question is, what is the most surprising fact that you've learned about yourself in your journey so far? The second is, what do you consider to be success? And what advice would you give to others who are in similar places you are, or challenges as you've gone through?
I think one of the realization that I had about myself, is that we as a human, we create our own limitation by listening to our own self-doubt or to any idea that had been said maybe in the childhood or something. So those became as a blockages or filters to create the limitation of what we are capable for. So whatever we are experiencing now, it's something that we admit as a reality. So the moment the person let go or release that whatever that I'm not good enough or I'm not good at presentation or I'm not good at TV's interview, then the person will act as a norm. So for me is the realization all is within, the key of the change.
Fantastic. Okay, and the second question is, what do you consider to be success?
Success for me is the fulfillment of happiness. So when I'm fulfilled to have the happiness to see the seeds of my happiness in others. And I got to know that you are very positive. Sometimes they think I'm not having any challenges, but I do have, as all, but it's more about what kind of mindset I have at that moment.
Yes.
So I attend, for example, in work or in family, I tend to reflect on myself. And when there is any challenge that I have as a person, I also go to my peer group and we discuss, we talk. We are humans. We have our highs and downs.
Yes.
So, yes, fulfillment of the happiness.
Fantastic. I love that, fulfillment of happiness. And so what advice would you give to others, who are in a similar position as yourself or who are struggling with their career or even their business?
I think follow your heart. And if you don't have that beat of telling you where to go, call me.
Of course.
Really, I'm being there for in the market, and for me, I understand it all. I've been there in highs and downs, knowing. I mean, unleash my voice. This is one of the fundamental change. I used to give some presentations and group workshop in a very smaller scales, but then I have to evolve to move on. And to do so, you need to go through layers of letting go of different beliefs, right?
Yes.
So we need to, maybe one tablet is trust the process and the moment it's there to serve you.
Fantastic. I love that, because you have to trust in yourself and the process.
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Shaikha, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It's been a blessing listening to all your insights and your wisdom around mentorship and coaching. And I'm sure that our listeners have gained so much from this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Izu, and thank you to the listener. They've been amazing.
Fantastic.
And wish you all the best.
Same here.
Thank you.